Hey, Shalom, Shalom Israel. Yahweh Hashem, Yahushua, Barak Adam, or Shamar Adam. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Whatever it could be in the time you decide to watch this video. Okay? I am Captain Icarab, Sons of Thunder, and I'm bringing you guys out another lesson. All right? Another sit down. And I appreciate everyone who's been coming on and listening to these videos that you all are, I pray that you all being edified, and I pray that this has helped you in your studies, and the rest of the Akim out there who put in the same amount of work, who's making a lot of these videos for those on the Patreon to enjoy these, so they can share with their family and friends, and then they learn as well. So first and foremost, I'd like to give our honor and glory and praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, because without him, none of this could be even possible. All right. So today, I'm going to go over Matthew, and it'll be chapter 5. And we're going to start with verse 43, because we need to discuss about who our neighbors are. Because you can show this to anyone, and they will go out and say, our neighbors is just anyone. Our neighbors is anyone who's really next door to you. So it can be anyone who decides to move in or move out, and someone else can come in and replace them, right? But according to Scripture, our neighbors are our people. Our neighbors is Israel. And the neighbors that could be next to you is other Israelites. Because everywhere we've been, and everywhere we go, and everything that we do, we pretty much stay within ourselves. When we're not in captivity, that we were in Israel together, right? So, with that being said, we're going to get rid of this idea that everyone is entitled to be saved. Everyone is entitled to get this same eye-opening experience to know who they are, where they come from, so they can be blessed as well as us. And we know good and well, why does everyone else seem to be able to have what we have? We have for so long been blinded, have no heritage, no language, no nothing. And we've always taken on the customs of other heathens. We've always done that. So when it's our turn to finally have something that is ours, for us only, our own language, our own customs, our heritage, our ways of living, our ways of dress, everything. Now, everyone should be able to get the same piece. I was even told that if someone is from China and they decided they want to come and dress like me, wear their hair like me, speak my language, eat my food, do everything that I do, that they too can be an Israelite. But the last time I recall, I don't care if you was born in the land, you can dress how you want to dress, you can say what you want to say. But you're not going to call a Chinaman anything else other than what he is. Because he will let you know, I'm a Chinaman, no matter what. So with that being said, let's go on with the lesson, okay? Because we're going to talk about our neighbors, how it's supposed to be, and how it should be. So this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 43. Ye have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. All right? But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you. We're going to stop there. Let's go back. So now you have an understanding of what we're talking about. Love your neighbor, right? It says, ye have heard that it hath been said. And we will get that. Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. Okay, that was said back in the day. That's what was done. I mean, what's wrong with that? And we would sit back and say, I don't understand. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. Because everyone, I guess, is your neighbor. But if you're supposed to love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy, but if everybody's your neighbor, who's your enemy? And if you're supposed to love all your neighbors, when do you ever hate your enemy? Then who is your enemy? Someone has to fill that role. Someone has to be in that position. But if everybody is your neighbor, and it can be anyone, you're supposed to love everybody. But everybody doesn't love you. So let's get this. Let's find out where this came from, who the neighbors are. Let's get the history in 2 Chronicles 28 and 8. We're going to start at verse 8 and we're going to go to 15 to give you understanding. Now, take this upon yourselves to read before this the whole chapter of 28 from the beginning. For the sake of time, I'm just getting to the nitty gritty of what happened, okay? But for you the full understanding of what it is, you can start with 28, okay? And then let's begin. And the children of Israel carried away captive of their brethren 200,000 women, sons, and daughters, and took also away much spoil from them, and brought the spoil to Samaria. So now you can see who we talking about, who we dealing with. And the children of Israel carried away the captive of their brethren. Their brethren. We're not discussing nobody else. Okay. Verse 9. But a prophet of the Lord was there, whose name was Oded. And he went out before the host that came to Samaria, and said unto them, Behold, because the Lord because the Lord God of your fathers was wroth with Judah, he had delivered them into your hand. Now you have a better understanding. This is the southern kingdom versus the northern kingdom. This is due to the split after the death of Solomon. You have some who wanted to follow Judah, and some who said, I want to go somewhere else because we want to follow particular kings because they had beef. And guess what? They split. They went one direction and the other went somewhere else. Okay? Just short, the short version of it. Okay? Go back and read for yourself. It says, now, reading on. It says, because the Lord your God, fathers, who was wroth with Judah, he hath delivered them into your hand, and ye have slain them in a rage that reaches up to heaven. Verse 10. And now ye purpose to keep under the children of Judah and Jerusalem for bondmen and bondwomen unto you. So now you was about to go ahead. I'm going to make y'all some slaves. We're going to put y'all through it. Let's read on. But are there not with you, even with you, sins against the Lord your God? So it says, now, first of all, before you sit here and think that you're righteous for what you're doing, don't you all have some sin? Verse 11. Now hear me therefore, and deliver the captives again, which you have taken captive of your brethren, for the fierce wrath of the Lord is upon you now. Oh, so the Lord was angry with Judah for what they done, so he used Israel to punish them. Now he's saying, don't get too up there with this. You punish them enough, pump the brakes, all right? Then certain of the heads of the children of Ephraim. So now you know you're dealing with the northern kingdom. Of Ephraim, Azariah, the son of Johan, Berekah, the son of Meshalomoth, and Jehezekiah, the son of Shallum, and Amasai, the son of Hadalai, stood up against them that came from the war, and said unto them, Ye shall not bring in the captives hither, for whereas we have offended against the Lord already, ye intend to add more to our sins and to our trespass, for our trespass is great, and there is fierce wrath against Israel. So they're like, hold on now. Please don't add more sin than what we've already got going on. Don't do that. Okay? Someone is actually speaking wisdom to them. So the armed men left the captives and the spoil before the princes and all the congregation, which was the women, the sons, and the daughters. and took away much of the spoil from them. That's what was in verse 8. Okay. So verse 14. So the armed men left the captives in the spoil before the princes and all the congregation. And the men which were expressed by name rose up and took the captives, and with the spoil clothed all that were naked among them. Now they taken care of them. They clothed them again, and arrayed them, and shod them, and gave them to eat and to drink, and anointed them. So now, this is how you're supposed to treat your people. And carried all the feeble of them upon asses. So now they said, we know we took you, but now we're going to help you go back. Now we're going to mount you on the asses and send you back on your way. Okay? So if you're feeble, you're not going to walk. We're going to help you. And brought them to Jericho, the city of palm trees, to their brethren. Then they returned to Samaria. They left. They said, yo, we good now. Because we don't want no more anger from the Lord to be kindled against us. We got our own problems. We did what we did. We're done. We squashing it. Okay? This is what was going on. These were your neighbors. Those that they took in captive. But they turned around and did them good. All right? So, let's find another script that describes that. So, let's go to Leviticus 19:18. So this is the book of Leviticus. And I know I could have just given you this right here, but we had to give you the real reason behind everything. Leviticus 18. So like Leviticus 19:18. Okay. Let's start with 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. So now you see where you got it from. You shall love thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. That's what he's telling you what you should be doing. Love them. Because this is who it is. Your neighbor is your people. And it's any other nation. Let's get some more. Let's go to Romans 13. And we're going to go to 9 and 10. Romans 13, 9 and 10. And it reads, For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. If there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Okay? Love worketh no ill to his neighbor, your own people. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. Because if you're going to love your neighbor as you love yourself, then you have no reason to do any of that that's in verse 9. You won't commit adultery because you love your neighbor. You won't kill him because you love your neighbor. You won't steal from him because you love your neighbor. Thou shalt not bear false witness because you love your neighbor. Thou shalt not covet because you love your neighbor. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, love thy neighbor as you love thyself. So that's why you won't do any of these in verse 9, because you love yourself. And if you love yourself and you're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself, guess what? You have fulfilled all those laws. They're not done away with, but you're fulfilling those laws. You're keeping those laws because you're loving your neighbors. And your neighbors is your people. Right? So, other people want to still prove that. Well, let's see, because you gotta know what the laws are, right? So let's go to 2nd Ezra. I'm gonna go as far back as 3. Let's go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 3 and verse. Would be good. Let's start with 32. It's easy to get right to the punchline, but let's give it 32, give you everything. It says, or is there any other people that knoweth thee besides Israel? Or what generation have so believed thy covenants as Jacob? 33. And yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor hath no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth and think not upon thy commandments. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and their ears also that dwell in the world. And so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. You can get that out of Amos 3 and 2, by the way. Or when it was that they which dwell upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight, or what people have so kept thy commandments, thou shalt find that Israel by name hath kept thy thy precepts, but not the heathen. So now you can see when you go back to all those laws in verse 9 from Romans, and you can see the fulfilling the law is to love your neighbor as you love yourself, which you're going to fulfill those laws. Who was given those laws? Israel. So now you know the people who was given and who your neighbors are. It's other Israelites. Okay? You can even go back to verse 19 before that. And thy glory went through the four gates of fire and an earthquake and a wind and a cold, that thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob and diligence unto the generation of Israel. It's given to him again. This whole Bible is all about Israel, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, Israel, and keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. All over this thing. We're not worried about the other nations at all. They have theirs. Okay? I'll give you another one. Just so we can drive this home. 6 and 54. Second Ezra 6 and 54. And after these, Adam, also whom thou hast made us Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou hast made us the world for our sakes. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but unlike to spittle, and hath likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be Lord over us and to devour us. He thinks of the other people as nothing. So, he has not dealt with any other nation. So why are we worried about them? Why does everybody worry about everybody else when it's finally our turn to have what we want to have? People don't want to let go of stuff. People just really don't know how to just say, thank you. I finally have something for myself. But now I feel like I have to share everything when they don't share with you. This is Psalms 147 and 19 and 20. He showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgment unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation. As for his judgment, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Again, he ain't dealing with nobody else but just Israel. Because why are you worried about and concerned with everybody else? Be happy you have this. And love your neighbors. That's what you're supposed to be doing. These are the true neighbors that you need to be thinking about. Let's go to Isaiah 40 and 15. It says, behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Think about that. The nations are as a drop of a bucket and are counted as the small dust of the balance. But you would want to say, but, there's no but. We didn't read or interpret anything. It is written. You can go to 17. All nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted him as less than nothing and vanity. I didn't say it. Sons of Thunder didn't say it. This is what the Most High says. This is the book of Isaiah. This is in everybody's Bible. They count it as nothing. But someone wants to always try to find a way and say, but we're supposed to love everybody. Where? I just wanted to We just read that. Love your neighbor. So, I'm going back to Matthew 5:44. But I say unto you, love your enemies, because they were your enemies when the kingdoms were split. Bless them that curse you, and do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you. That ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven, for he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. See, for if you love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? If ye salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Do not even the publicans do so? So you only salute the people that love you, and you only deal with people who like you? You're supposed to love all your people. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. So that's a whole nother lesson. But yeah, he also said to be perfect too, because you're supposed to be perfect. So no more excuses. Because he's trying to say, can't nobody be perfect? The Bible just told you to be perfect and love your neighbors as you're supposed to love yourself. So you can do what's right and fulfill those laws. Okay? So with that, Israel, I pray this lesson was edifying. And I pray that you can get some understanding. And then you turn around and share this with someone and tell them, these are the people you're supposed to be loving. It's your own people. Love them as you're supposed to. Okay? So let me give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. We love and we thank you. We appreciate everything you do. We appreciate those who contribute to the camp. Please come and feast with us. Please come and join us. But you can also follow us still on the Milk Mondays, Thursday Thunders. You have a question, come on the Friday classes, get on the calls, ask away. Watch our lives that we do on the Shabbat. We'll go out to the camp days. Enjoy it. Okay? Reread this. Open your eyes. Put the eye salve in there. And wake up, Israel. Our time is short, but our time is really near for the turn of Hamashiach Yahweh shall return. All right? So, with that again, Michael Rob, Sons of Thunder, I appreciate your time. And again, I pray that this lesson was edifying. And have a wonderful, wonderful day. Shalom.